Welcome to the Rally Points Podcast for the love and fun of tennis.
Rally Point 16 has Mike LaPierre and Barry Caron joining us in a fun conversation on physicality, mental toughness, strategies, and much more. Have fun. I think we're good. No, it's recording. Good.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Last one of 2023. Barry, welcome, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
For people that don't know, Barry Caron, pro at Newburyport, longtime friend of Bass River.
Mostly Great Bay nowadays.
Mostly Gray Bay.
Yep, up in Newmarket.
There you go. I didn't know that you're doing that mostly, but you still do some Newburyport stuff.
Yeah,
right?
a little bit.
Couple of teams. Just one.
Yep, the A team.
The A team.
I'm like Ed Sheeran.
That's a that's a tough team. It's a tough team.
Yeah,
all your coaching.
We got some depth.
Yeah. When they come here, I'm like, let me see what Barry.
Well, I'm just
you.
waiting. I told him, I prepped him, like they could pull the albatross on you.
Yeah.
We're ready.
All the formation. Yeah, Bass River's ready for it.
I said, whatever they try, just know it's probably within the rules and deal with it.
That's it. Maybe stretching him a little bit. Mike LaPierre, you're back.
I am. Thank you for having me back. It's good to be in the room.
People loved your the clip there with the the Dorito kid.
Ooh, I remember that one.
Well, there was the Salem State kid. There was yeah.
Mm-hmm. The bag of Doritos.
I don't think was I here for that?
Yeah. We're talking about like the need for physicality and Mike is like, well, we got to start somewhere because I saw Salem State college player just killing a bag of Doritos before
On a changeover?
Before the match started. So
and
I know. It's actually, why don't we start with that? Because that's, I think, we go more into specifics on the need of physicality for juniors, but we talk about over and over, like how important it is for those to just go run and push things and pull things and do stuff that you do as a kid. Just develop the qualities that you need to later on help you like be a little bit more.
They've got really strong thumbs.
Exactly, big thumbs. Huh?
Yeah, that's what's happened though.
Yeah,
I wouldn't thumb wrestle them.
Yeah, it's frail bodies, man. Frail
minds too.
Yep.
It's a package deal.
I know. It's as much, and I mean, how many juniors are you coaching?
Oh, probably total like 30.
Yeah, that's still a big amount.
Yeah.
So you must see that one, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we'll ask, you got to motivate the kids. So they don't, it's awful to say, but they won't try their hardest unless they're like, oh, I don't want to have to do burpees.
Yep.
And you tell a kid, all right, you're going to losing team's going to have to do 10 burpees each. And I can't do a push-up.
Yeah. And they're 12.
No, and they're 16.
Yeah, 16.
It's like, pretend you're pushing yourself off the couch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you got it. Everyone, I think, it has to be an effort.
They've forgotten, this generation has forgotten what it really means to have one chance at something because there's always something else. I mean, when we were playing tennis.
That's interesting, yeah.
You went for the ball because you did not want to lose this match because tennis is your one thing and it meant something to your ego and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just too easy nowadays to switch. Oh, this is hard. Let me do something else.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm just going to.
So you're trying to balance that with the kids. Like, how hard do you make it before they might fail because it's too physical?
Well, that's one of the battles that we're having.
Yeah.
Right? That's one of the things that, like, okay, you do want to push them. You do want to make sure that they learn and to get physical. But this is a physical sport. And where's that edge? And everybody has their own edge.
What was the last year you got to do butts up?
We talked about that last, the one with Leahy. It's got to be 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, but
right?
all of my best players did that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And worked through it.
Yeah. And you it's also a joy coming out of that too. And you win and lose it. So there's more weight to it.
Yeah.
But somehow I found I always laughed more than everybody else.
I forgot about it. We had them at Meadowbrook. They were, after there was a lot of butts up, but they switched to belly flops. So they had to do like 10 or 15.
Ooh, in the pool?
In the pool.
Oh, I think that's worse.
I know.
I take my, the water's not going to miss. You might hit a serve. You might hit a serve and someone misses. It might be me serving. I'm like, here comes a 25-mile-per-hour slice. Big deal. The water.
It'll cut you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, there is no.
Yeah. Oh, they were the ones winning. They were sitting on the side, and they might just like, that was not. It didn't hit it fully, so you got to do it again.
Those are my type of parents. They're just sitting there watching that, and they're like, I love what's going on over at the tennis courts today.
We used to, when we had a 4-court clinic going on at Newburyport or at Great Bay, I used to do a thing called the gauntlet. So the losing team, you would do team singles or something, big team thing, and the other team that lost would have to run from one end all the way to the other, while the other side got to stay behind the baseline firing balls at them.
Yeah. Oh, wow. There you go. Gotta bring
and
those
they loved
back.
it.
Yeah, it works on agility, too.
Right.
No kidding. You're feeding.
And no one ever got hit. That's the funny thing. The fear is way worse than the reality.
Right.
And then you get hit once, you're like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah, unless it's by you.
Yeah.
Then it sucks.
What do you think? I have no idea. I'm not in touch right now. Like, how much physicality those kids get in school these days?
Very minimal.
I was going to say.
Like outside of if they do a sport in school?
Correct.
Like through gym?
But even that.
No, dude. They're like,
They do
they do
class.
they're
Movement.
doing, badminton, which they're not really moving that much,
there's
or like
no more
little
strength
little
and conditioning and anything else that.
No.
I think you could probably take it as a class.
But
Like at
it's
some
not. It's not
schools.
something that you.
No, gym.
And I think that like
phys ed has changed.
and they don't want to. Yeah, they don't. No one wants to get like really. They're not showering after gym or anything like that. So most people don't want to get all gross and sweaty for
Remember
a
high
period
school?
and do that. Like, yeah. I mean, I think they hardly do. I think they hardly do any fit. I think it'd be pretty frustrating being a gym teacher. I think kids show up to that period and maybe you're trying to do something and there you get a bunch of kids that are like, dude, please, I just want to break from classes all day.
Yeah.
Which is terrible, but I think that's what it's turned into. I don't think they're climbing ropes up to the ceiling. That's for sure.
Mike sent us the videos from when was that? The 60s?
Oh, yeah, watching kids run around out in the playground, and they're doing pull-ups, and they're walking on the ladder, but with their hands, down the road.
Was that a
That was just
clip on social media?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Remember
same...
the metal slides with no railings?
Yeah, I mean,
kids
those things
like
got hot in the
literally
summer.
just
right, yeah. But kids can't do that today. They don't have the
bodies
the
would
grip
tear right
strength.
out of their shoulders.
Well,
Arms just dangling there, like what?
or
happened
there's
there?
like 2 feet of sponge underneath them.
Right.
So if they fall, there's no repercussion.
Yeah, it's a fine line where safety is obviously important, but then you do have to like push.
You're playing a sport. There's an acceptable range of risk.
Yep.
I mean, no one plans to get hit in the face with a tennis ball, but you're stepping on the court. There's a chance.
It does happen, yeah. Yeah, it's
With kids though. I mean, some of our clinics, some kids are there to become tennis players, and then some kids are just
That's
there
the
for
hard thing.
a social activity,
And
you
to say
don't
they're
want
on the
to.
advanced level.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
You're getting little exercise, and you don't want to like those kids might actually get turned off by. They're like, this isn't what I signed up to hit tennis balls. I'm not looking to do all this extra stuff. And it's like, I don't know. That can be hard because you can have classes like more beginner classes that are a little bit of both. So it's hard to tap in to be like, how hard do you want to push certain kids or do certain really physical type stuff or not? Because it's like some of the kids are just there for an after school activity with their friends.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you could have 12 kids all the same skill level, all with different commitment levels.
Absolutely.
And that's almost as bad sometimes.
Right.
I'd rather have some kids that maybe aren't up to the level, but actually bust their butt to get
so
there.
would I.
Yeah, you always want the kid is ready to.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we doing today? Let's get after it.
But it's really, I mean, we're giving them. So I mean, you want to build tennis players, but at the same time, if someone is there just because they want an activity after school and they want to be with their friends, this and that, like that's what it's not our job to decide if that's what you want to get out of it. That's what you come to. It's our job to kind of give it to you.
And we're coming up to that time of year when you're going to get that call, Kevin. My kid wants to play on the high school team. He'd like to get 4 private lessons a week for the next 5 weeks.
That's right.
What do you got for me? Fit me in. That's the time for the 2 a.m. stuff.
Yeah.
It's 2 a.m. lessons. Yeah. Yeah, that happens every year. But
it does.
A simple, we talk about, but they are still like close to perfect machines, man. Even like a simple program a week of 3 nights a week, or 3 afternoons or mornings, whatever. You go and you do 30 push-ups. You know, do whatever pull-ups you can do. Do some core exercises. Couple of sprints, nothing crazy. You can do stuff in 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And at that age is gonna set up such a nice way of them developing their body, such a good segue for them to get stronger and bigger and faster, versus not doing any of that. Because it's not there. It is there. It's just not cultivated.
The best players are doing it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
People find a way to do it. And
Yeah,
there still are those kids out there. They're just.
But yeah, everyone it starts with that. If you have nothing in your life, doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter like what what's your strength or weakness or whatever. Just start with that. Just get body weight exercises. Just get all of that as much as you can, and ask somebody, ask one of us. Simple, easy. It's amazing how your body will change and turn, and you feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, like all of us, right? You start exercising, you get even like I was talking to a parent a couple of weeks ago and watched about for his footwork, and simple like 5-direction sprint exercises, just 2-3 steps in each direction. Do it. That's it. Do that for a little bit, and see how well that's gonna translate into that first step, that first explosive step is so important in tennis. That needs to be developed.
Yeah, it's tough because that stuff does take a little bit of, like, that hard work takes a little bit of time to kick in before you see it. And kids of a certain age have grown up with, like, it's instant stuff. Even the way they watch videos, their videos aren't even long. Everything cuts real quick, this and that. It's like you got to buy in long enough to work hard on something.
Correct.
Before you see a result, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute. And then you see that, and you're like, you fully buy in. But you got to put in a little bit of work and make it part of your routine before you see any type of.
Speaking of that, let's get into Kevin's new look. Minus 2025.
I have a routine. Went for an extremely cold plunge this morning.
You did it. There you go.
Did you do it? Oh yeah.
Where'd you do it this morning?
In my backyard.
Oh, you have one now. Oh boy.
We did it on. We did them on
at your house, huh?
Tuesday nights. Yeah.
I told you it's got to be a bigger.
Yeah, we're driving home. We're like, Petritzoi throw a crazy party, huh? Everyone's cold plunging at the end of the night.
How the times have changed.
I know, right? But that's what you started doing, right? Just getting exercise, eating, obviously, sleeping well. Sleeping is big for.
Yeah.
We talked about
I think doing something that doesn't take that long is actually key.
Yes.
For someone like me, like the idea of going to a gym and spending an hour and a half there, 2 hours, like, you don't really have to do that. If you can, 25 minutes, half hour, you can commit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can commit to a half hour somewhere.
Kev is on the Maxwell protocol now.
Oh, is that right?
Is in a Maxwell.
Is it Ghislaine Maxwell? The Ghislaine Maxwell?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's a good one, man.
It makes a difference.
I
can't wait till I get punched again. I'm going to throw a punch back for the first time in my life.
No.
I'm 3-0. Yes.
Remember to close your hand this time.
Back to the juniors, then we'll move on a little bit to some more general stuff. Where do you see the level of the U.S. juniors moving in the next 5 years?
I don't.
We'll go in general.
I see it stagnating. I mean,
I'm afraid of that too.
We used to have a lot of 9s and 10s. Now we have way more 7s, but nothing above it.
Yeah.
It's like we've got a lot of really good, well-rounded players, but those aren't the ones who make history.
Yeah. It's literally almost like discrepancy between the better the technology, the easier the life, the less
100%.
They get pushed.
The Eastern Europeans are dominating.
Yeah, and you see that, man. You see that. It just
even around Bass River.
See that?
Because why though? Because we have it too easy over here.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think it's a little too easy, and I think again, technology. You have your games. You all the video games. Everything else that those kids have access to here, they may not have that access in other parts of the world, South America.
Forget that. It's even like the access to tennis. You know, it's like here, you got a beautiful court. I don't want to play on this court. It's got a crack on it. Yeah. It's like, the Williams sisters were playing on courts with crackheads on them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
you appreciate it more. You know, what if Djokovic played in a basement with bombs going off?
I have
not literally, but
yeah, I have a picture that's actually framed. Rach framed it. If we were doing our like yearly pictures in tennis, and that looked good for us. I had a tennis net behind me with a bunch of holes in it. Yeah, it was not.
So you already had your first serve.
Yeah.
And that's the one they were like, let's use this net for the picture. That's
let's
the best.
use this portion of the net. And I remember it. That's. But you don't think it's just shoes. Like I remember I borrowed those shoes for the picture because mine had holes in them. So just to have at least no holes in your shoes. But that's how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, you got kids. You'll like, all right, let's get the balls up. They immediately go to their water bottle.
Right.
You know, I mean, then you look at Nadal. It's like, go get the balls up. Rafa picks them all up.
Oh yeah, that guy's work ethic. That's something that should be really studied. And how do you think he's gonna do? What do you think?
Well, that's going to be interesting. Yeah. He seems like a guy that needs a lot of reps, a lot of matches before he kind of has that confidence to swing out in big moments. And he just doesn't seem to have enough court time under his belt. But
yeah,
he is who he is. So I'm not going to bet against him.
I know, right?
He'll have some moments. I don't think he'll win a tournament.
Yet or this year?
This year. It's just because this is it. This is his year. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think he's 100%. And I think it's more of a farewell tour. Yeah. Kind of like Fish does every year.
They just played last night.
Farewell tour.
Where did it?
MSG.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's right. They're doing Baker's Dozen?
No, just like a little New Year's run.
That's
4 shows.
But the rest of the tour moves so well now.
They do.
It's like he doesn't have the edge he used to have. Like he could really open the court up, which he still can, but it just doesn't bother some of these guys as much.
I think you're onto something there because I do think the tour moves these days at a speed that if you're out for more than 6 months,
yeah, you've been saying that.
You have a hard time catching up.
Yeah.
It used to be able. I mean, Fed did it after 6 months.
Well, the game was simpler, I think. There's so much with the technology and the advancements and the strings and the rackets. There's so many different ways to play.
Yeah, but I just think simpler in what way? Let's split that open.
Well, I mean, you can generate so many more RPMs. You can open up the court. You can.
Oh, I mean, you can easier access to different things. Okay,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, people can. It's tough to get back on that. You know, it's like we were joking last night about having to play Kirk. Mm-hmm. You know, with his heavy RPMs and stuff, and the ball exploding. Mm. It takes a while. You know, it's like the opposite of Kevin was talking about.
Right.
With the flat ball.
Right.
Yeah.
I look at Team. That's a perfect example there. That the guy's been out didn't do for a year, and he cannot catch up. He cannot win two matches in a row.
Yep.
Zverev did it, but again, 6 months. I think if you go more than 6 months, it's tough, man.
But Team, how tall is Team?
I think he's in the 6'6".
Is he?
Maybe 5'11".
Yeah.
Somewhere there.
He was definitely smaller than, because I remember you've had a conversation about that too. Size and weight for the
Grand Slam winners. Yeah, he's the only, but he's at least he's thicker.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Let's bring that up one more time. Don't you think it's important to talk about the weight of a Grand Slam winner?
Or the muscle mass.
Well, yeah.
The height.
See, everybody talks height.
Yeah.
But weight. You need to have a certain weight to withstand like 7 matches.
You can't be too much one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, for sure, obviously.
Yeah. Some of the guys that you'll see out there that are too light, they can put on runs, but they can't sustain.
Right.
They're not going to be good week in, week out.
Recovering.
52 weeks or 3 years or whatever. They just don't have the physical strength.
That's what I wonder about Sinner.
They keep adding. They keep adding.
They are adding.
A lot of pasta.
Yeah. But it's that body type is just tough, man, to...
Yeah, there's only so much you can do, too, right? With your, there are certain body types that you're just never going to get these,
Murray did it.
Bulk.
Yeah,
Murray did it.
Yeah.
Murray did it. Zverev is doing it.
Yeah, and he was a good example of a 16-year-old kid who was already 6'5" or so, but he weighed 125 pounds, and the goal was 7 pounds a year. That's pounds added to his body every year for, and he's a bigger kid now. I mean, he's a little thicker. He's strong legs. There's a little more to him, but he was real thin. He was Sinner type build as an 18-year-old. But
that's the change too. Is that with the physicality of the game now, it's people aren't really coming on. I mean, Alcaraz is a little bit of an exception, but you haven't seen like an 18, 19-year-old come on.
Right.
Or
it's tough.
if they are, they're physically mature.
Right.
Like they were probably shaving at 12.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The Fils, the French player.
Fils, yeah.
Not Monfils, just Fils.
Oh yeah.
Kid.
Yeah.
He's just he's a man. He's 19 years old, but he looks like he's 27. I mean, he's got the physicality of a fully developed guy. I don't know if he's ever going to be great. He certainly looks like he's awfully good.
But that helps.
But he came on fast because he's just bigger than every other 19-year-old out there. He's more, developed.
Well, that was Becker too. I mean, Becker was big and strong.
Yeah.
Do you know who he is, Tev?
I loved Becker.
He's making reference of those guys, not.
Oh yeah. It is amazing to watch. Like, I saw some thing on Instagram the other day, and it was just showing certain Celtics players. It was showing like Brown and Tatum, and then it like went through other guys. It actually showed Shaq at one point, and this and that, from their like rookie year to just even like 4 or 5 years later. And it's amazing with those guys. And it looks like their heads were put on different bodies. Like, you can't believe that's just the same body in there. Like, you watch Shaq. I mean, it's not only shoulders. That guy was like, near the end, he's like this. He looks like a building. And you see him like in pictures from college or his rookie year, and it's like a totally different. And he's still a big dude, but
he just looked so much more athletic when he was younger. But then by the end, he looked big.
Yes, yeah. But I don't know, Tatum or Brown or I don't know. Those guys are now they're huge.
Yeah, Brown's been
and you just look back, like it's over the matter of like 3 years. I mean, I guess it's their job to do that.
I think
so
that helps.
Yeah.
Because they have a cook and
right,
and a trainer and a massage therapist.
Yeah, it is. It's yeah. Oh yeah, but I mean,
was LeBron estimates he spends like over $1 million a year on his body with all the stuff.
I can see that. I can see that.
But he was saying that like 10 years ago.
Yeah, how much all the football teams, all the basketball teams, hockey spend on those recovery rooms. Notice I didn't say baseball because those guys don't need recovery. But training rooms, everything else.
Yeah,
that's
now put that into tennis. I mean, Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal. I mean, they're also a product of sports science and things we've learned. I mean, in the 80s, they didn't know anything. They weren't stretching. It was if the person was stretching, they were the weirdo.
Yeah.
There was no understanding of nutrition.
Yeah, those guys paved the way. More Federer and Nadal. I thought about it a little bit too.
I think Martina led the way.
Martina's
that's true.
She was the very first one.
Yeah, off-court training and nutrition.
Nutrition.
She's the one that actually kind of got Lendl on the right path.
Right.
But
really?
Yeah, I mean,
that was the connection then?
She was way fitter than any other lady playing at that time, right? I mean,
in her prime, she was. Yeah. She was, but prior to that, she was kind of heavy at times.
When she first came to the States, she jokes that she discovered McDonald's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What is this McDonald's?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I was a kid playing tennis in the 70s, nobody lifted a weight. That was just like,
it was bad.
You never would lift a weight. You'll lose all your
stiff.
flexibility. You'll be too stiff. Imagine me. I didn't lift weights in the 70s. Look how stiff I turned out to be.
Well, you were wrestling, so that was your strength training.
Yeah. And I like going to the gym. I always have, but that was always against tennis training at the time. Now, you can't be a tennis player and not be in the gym if you want to be any good.
It can't hurt you no matter what. And that's why I tell people, like, should I lift weights? It can't hurt you because whether it's specific to tennis or not, it's making you stronger and more athletic as an individual.
Yeah,
which is gonna in some way transfer to
now
tennis.
We're back to the guy with a bag of Doritos. So you're going into the gym. He ate them so fast I couldn't read the package.
Cool Ranch is okay.
Yeah, but now even if you're just in there, not necessarily getting better at tennis, you're still setting a habit for yourself that you go to the gym.
Right.
I mean, go to the other end of the spectrum. There's a guy that comes to the gym where I work out in Woburn, and he's in his middle to late 80s, and he takes a little five-pound dumbbell with the handles on the side, and he just sits and he pretends like he's steering a car, and he's just doing like a shoulder exercise.
In his head, he is.
Yeah. The Mando bombs.
But he's making his last years better than they would be if he didn't drag himself out of the house, go down to the gym, and stand there and sit there, whatever, move around a little. He's living better days.
Yeah, his alternative is on the couch, and he spends 2 weeks on the couch, and then he can't get up.
And then asking people to open bottles and jars for him.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, Life habits.
Speaking of, you mentioned hockey earlier. Did you guys? I don't watch that much hockey, but I clip on Instagram. I've been on vacation, so I've been watching a little Instagram. Did you see that clip of Connor Bedard?
The Michigan goal where he wrapped it around?
Yeah, it came around the net.
Yeah, he picked up the puck.
Yeah, picked it up.
I've seen that.
As he skated, picked it up and then went right over the goalie's shoulder with it.
Yeah, they call it.
And by the way, on skates and ice and fast time real, you watch it in slow motion, you're like, wow. But then thinking about how quickly that happened in this night. What's strange is the night he did it, another guy in the NHL did it.
I remember the first time it ever happened. I saw it. It was they call it a Michigan because the University of Michigan guy did it in the NCAA finals against UNH.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty badass move.
It's pretty
Those
sick.
guys.
I mean, you're a goalie. You're like, what the?
Yeah.
Yeah, the goalie didn't what are they having? The guy's like, what?
Yeah, the goalie had no clue.
What am I?
And the light goes on.
I gotta watch that. Those guys are just amazing.
Gretzky one time flipped it up, so it landed on the back of the goalie and went in from behind.
That can knock the wind out of your sails. It's people toying with you.
Have you played against Rares?
What's the percentage of the goal that a goalie covers in hockey?
Probably hope for 60%.
Is that about it? Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm just talking crap. But
what do you? Are you just talking just sitting there?
Space.
Yeah, when they cover the space.
Yeah.
They'll use their pads.
Yeah, everything else. What percentage is covered? What's the range?
No clue.
I don't know.
But it's got to be over 50.
Yeah. But the shooters are so good.
That's what I'm saying. It's just so you're dealing with half the goal, the moving parts.
Well, you see the skills contest where they put top corners, bottom.
Yeah, they're pinpoint.
And they're just like ping, ping, ping. Just hitting them.
That's why you even wonder some of those saves, just a reflex.
Well, that's what it is.
And they're
right. Well, there's so many guys out in front of them too. They're not even seeing the puck coming.
No, and those guys are all as the puck is going by, they're tipping it. Even if you are lucky enough to get it lined up, right before it gets there, some guy just feathers it, and the thing just goes up and over, and you're like, dude, I had that one lined up.
Our friend Marty was telling me one time, because he made it to the level below NHL.
Yeah.
But he was saying that everybody knew that goaltending in the NHL was actually easier than there because the defenders are so much better. He goes in the lower levels, in the minors, you got some guy that sucks at defense. He's screening you the whole time. The ice might be a little chippy. He goes, that's why you'll see guys get to the NHL and not lose their job.
That's interesting, because you have good defenders there too, yeah.
Huh. I've watched my girls play. They both played high school lacrosse, and you want to talk about goalies just not being. I mean, the girls can shoot pretty fast. Not as the guys, they're firing all over the place. The girls, it's a lot more the setting up. Someone cuts and fires off a big shot, but the goalies, man, it's a decent sized net. At least the guys a little bit more physically bigger. Those girls, man, that's tough. So small in there, and you barely have any pads, and they're just sitting there with that.
But they got the bigger net,
dude. Honestly, any of the saves are usually the goalie doesn't even make a move. It's just they wait like this, and it just goes right into girl ends up firing it right into the girl's stick, and the crowd goes nuts because it's a save.
And that decision was made when they were 8 years old, and the coach said, "You're the goalie."
Well, that's the thing. They usually if your goalie's out, it's the next person to step up. No one ever wants to. They also have a shot. If you hit the goalie in the head, you get penalized for it. It's a dangerous shot.
So does
Meanwhile, you're we're playing a game.
I'm trying to dive and head balls.
No, it's just going to come in at you. But it's a funny rule. They're we want you to take a good shot, but not too good, because if you hit the goalie.
Well, what if the goalie's small and their head's in the goal?
Yeah,
a dangerous shot. Yeah, there's a lot of. I watched my girls play for years. I still don't even understand. Every time a whistle gets blown, I'm wait for the guy next to me. He's oh, but he'll complain about the call, and I'm yeah.
Referee.
But it's I think someone firing. You have to cover a certain amount of net, firing a certain amount.
Now that
you're not going to be able to make that many.
Now that you've
saves.
done other kids' sports, compare them to tennis parents.
Oh, well, tennis parents are still the worst. Although I'm watching my nephew, who is a wrestler. Wrestling parents are pretty tough too, and I think just probably because again, it's not
the nature of it.
Now we're taking tennis is tough because it's my kid versus your kid, not my kid's team versus your kid's team. At least we're hitting a ball back and forth.
Oh yeah.
Wrestling, our two kids are curled up on the floor going at it with each other.
Do you find yourself hit him?
No, I don't. But I watch my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, and they are screaming and it's like they're wrestling. They're like squirming while it's going down. The whole thing is happening. Meanwhile, there's a whole arena of people doing that stuff.
There was a clip on SportsCenter last year because there was a huge upset in college wrestling. Some guy who hadn't lost for 3 years or something to the finals gets upset, and the video of his parents is unbelievable because they're doing exactly what you're saying while the fight was going on there. But when he lost, the mother was so pissed. Right. She was like pounding on the father. Punching.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. She like threw her hat.
And the guy knew it was taking it. Was like, yeah.
Right.
She's got to let it out.
Yeah. This is where he gets his aggression.
It's not me.
I bet everybody in every sport in the way that we're into tennis, though, your hockey coaches, your soccer coaches, they can all say our parents are the worst.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I grew up in Reading where one father beat another father to death at the hockey rink.
That's right.
One kid checked another kid and he didn't like it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
no, man.
That was just like a free skate. That wasn't really like I don't think it was an organized game.
It's almost not even hockey related.
And
that guy just has issues.
Right.
It could have been someone bumped his door.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And that was like junior hockey too.
Right.
It wasn't even like high school.
Yeah,
hockey,
and it happened in front of
was,
kids.
Right.
That's sad, man.
Right.
Oh.
I was listening to a podcast about New Hampshire basketball, and they were talking about in the 90s how the crowds were awesome, even in the early 2000s, and how now like they can't chant anything. They're talking about one game, like the crowd was chanting some girl's name, and the coach was like, what the heck's up with that? He's like, you guys know her? Yeah, that's his girlfriend. The guy that was shooting free throws. It's like, but now it's more important to get like the sportsmanship banner. So like the AD will stand in front of the kids and don't cheer, don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the refs, they run a tighter, even with the crowd. Like they don't take. You should be able to yell stuff from the crowd. Like
do you still beat your wife?
Basketball. Yeah, no, and they even during like other teams' free throws where you think you'd
miss
in there and like, the place goes like oddly quiet. Lets her take her free throw, which I think is actually that could even be harder. Dead silence.
I'm the opposite. I had an air horn at girls' basketball games in high school. Little boat horn. They'd go to shoot a free throw.
Yeah,
they'd come
you
over
watch on like college basketball games, dude. Yeah. Everyone's got those long things, and they're like
those things back and forth.
I'm on TV. I'm like, gee, I'm watching it. I'm like, I got to look the other way.
Flashbacks.
Like, kicking my vertigo in. And meanwhile, that dude's up there just like dropping him in. You know.
Yeah. How do you train for that? You can't.
I think you just
focus. Yeah, but
you
have
take
to
enough. You take enough free throws where they're doing
other than just reps on the spot.
And you're also probably trained not to look past the rim.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you can stare at something. I stare at the Apple iPad there. I still don't really notice back there. So it's probably just really trying to dial it in and then just breathe.
I think it depends on the moment too.
Of course,
like I think
weight of it.
If it's free throws that don't mean anything, you can block it out. You don't even care. But if there's a certain amount of time left on the clock and that free throw means something and you can barely deal with that, and then there's people behind you that are like, oof.
And then you got the guy walking by you going, miss it. choke.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We went to the Celts last night and they were playing the Pistons.
Oh, my God, they almost lost.
I know. Which, by the way, so the Pistons have lost, I think that was their 28th game in a row.
Oh, boy.
The Celts haven't lost at home. They're like the best team in basketball. If there was a time where there was like, you're like, okay, this team is a gut. They can't lose forever. They're going to.
I said it last night when we were downstairs. I said, this is the best team in the league, worst team in the league. This is when it will happen.
Of course, that's what I was saying to Bell on the way in. Like, man, I hope we're not getting set up for like if their home streak not losing is going to be broken at some point.
Right.
Detroit is not going to lose every game this season. Like, it just seems like it could happen. And for most of the game, it did. But it's amazing that. Like when push comes to shove, those are pro athletes losing that many games in a row. They can't even remember how to win. They
They find ways to lose.
Yeah, and and I think the Celtics, who are not losing that much, are in their mind when they're like, dude, we're not losing to they were down 20 at one point. The whole game just seemed like they were a little sloppy. And there was watch pro athletes towards the end of that totally
dial in.
Collapse. Well, collapse mentally just because they're like they don't remember. You lose. Their coup games they won were like in the first 3 games of the season. Yeah. You're like you literally can't remember what it feels like to win or how you win. You expect to lose.
Seen that in tennis players.
Sure,
of course.
Why can't this guy win?
Right,
of course.
It's like he's playing great, but every match is just something.
Well, I mean that's the hardest thing to change. You know?
Right. I know.
I mean, you can practice.
That's the worst.
Forehands. You can do reps in the gym. You can do that, dude. No one even understands their own brain. You get out there and you're just like a skill that you can normally do, all of a sudden you can't do, or you can feel it creeping up. Like, oh,
I
hope this doesn't happen.
I have a couple of women who've talked to me about that. It's like they just fall apart, and they're like, "What do you do?" And it's like, I don't even know what to say, because it's like you have good strokes. I mean, you're making the shots in practice. You just gotta.
But that's big, because let's segue a little bit to the mental part of tennis, though, because that's important. Everybody comes equipped with different strengths.
Aptitudes.
Yeah, aptitudes, and yeah, the best way to put it. When you're talking with an individual, is different than when you're talking with a team in tennis.
Yeah.
Because there's different things that come into play. Like if you have a singles player there and you go out and okay, let's enter your mind a little bit there. And when you discuss with a team, there's different dynamics that come into play. And I think that's because a lot of times you see players coming to you, like you see a doubles team. Well, I can't do this and I can't do that. But that's only half of the problem. The other half probably don't want to say it, or they do say it too much.
Right.
It's my partner's fault or whatever. But
that sucks.
Yeah, but that's
you
gotta somehow bridge that, and it's so important to make a connection on a team and tell them that it's okay to make mistakes. Everybody does them. Treat your partner right. They try to win just like you do. I feel a lot of them feel like they're disappointing somebody, and that's when they crumble.
Yeah,
disappointing the coach.
Well, the parents are sitting right behind the courts too.
Well, that's on the kids, but I'm talking like ladies. Yeah, that's true. That's a big one. Yeah. The juniors. Yeah,
I want to get sitting there with his arms crossed.
Yeah, but let's go into doubles and then we'll go into singles, like mental part, because that could be a. We need Gavin here for that.
Yeah, where's Gavin when we need him?
The golfer.
Yeah, because it's in doubles teams, like it's. The biggest thing is like full acceptance, no resistance to what happens out there between the two of you. Like whatever, not between the two of you, but like what do you do out there? What do you do as my partner there? You do for the best of the team. If it happens, if it works well, trust. Yeah,
and experience. I mean, he and I have been to battle so many times.
Yeah,
it's like when in a real match is just no, he's going to take care of your shit.
Yeah. And if it does, that's okay. It's just one of those days. If you don't,
we find
accept that.
Yeah, we're on the same team.
Or we find a way.
We're on the same team.
That's exactly. Or try to find a way.
Because we've won enough close ones where we're assholes. That's Mike's joke. We were down. We lost the first set. We're down like 5-1. He comes back and he's like, you know what? We're just the two big enough assholes to come back and win this match. And we believe it or not, we did.
Pep talk you needed.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like
it was a comic relief too.
Exactly,
and it was like it's all right. You know,
that's very important too.
Yeah. In the hands of a lesser team, that match could have been a problem, but not for you and me.
No. That's it. You guys have
it's just 2 breaks and 2 holds.
I do think though, knowing how to communicate with each other is a big part of it too. Because you can we both mean well, but we have 2 styles of getting, even in that situation, like little joke, right? Maybe some appreciates the joke and someone else is like, that motherfucker's making a joke now, or like, and it can go like. There's better teams, I think. Not only are they open with each other, they know how to stroke each other the right way
and read the room, read the moment
at the right time.
You know, we'll joke around, but when if it's the third set tiebreaker, you're not joking around.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's live fire. We'll joke around in paintball.
We'll do it. Yeah,
I think one of the targets that gets missed through like social, like ladies or like the league. Ladies that play and stuff is they put too much stock in like looking for players like partners that seem like they have the best skill set tennis wise, and they don't take personality into account at all. Because I've seen people mention people to me in the past where I can just tell them like, "Ooh, man, those personalities cannot match up." And at some, I'm like, "Man, I wonder how they don't even see that." But I think it's because that's not even one of the boxes that they're looking to check, which like that should really be
more important than anything.
Very high.
It's number one in a partnership.
I mean, I've had a couple of times over the last 10 years, whatever, where captains reach out to me and been like, "Oh, so and so, was interested in joining their team. Do you have any thoughts on her or anything?" And I'm like, just look at her past and see how many teams she's been on. And they look back and like, "Oh, she's been on a new team every year."
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
there you go.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Because obviously the personality doesn't fit.
Right.
And those are typically the players, which is I'm not sure if they recognize it or no fault their own, is the players that it's always somebody else's fault.
100%, yep.
You're always the victim, and somebody else's fault.
But that's not just on the tennis court for them usually.
Correct. The victim mentality is just so like universal for that type of player, and it takes a little bit to just look inside and see, okay, wait a second.
Like, hi, near. Well, that's mean.
Yeah.
I want you to hit it hard at them. What?
Yeah. Personality and allowing yourself and your partner to just be there in that moment, which you're your highest or your lowest. That's who you are. Do that.
Right.
Accept that. Give them the freedom. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then I think that opens up that. Okay, it's okay.
It's interesting in the North Shore League because you have such diversity of players. It's like you'll have Division I college athletes, maybe not in tennis, but in something.
Yeah,
because I've got a few of those.
And
they're just so easy.
Yeah,
because they get sports.
Kev,
it's like especially you find
jiggle my wire. I'm out again.
Pardon?
What was that?
Hello. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And again?
Yeah, I've got it. Yep.
Like basketball players are so easy to coach in tennis. Because
find that,
they're used to working, and they're also used to sometimes working and not getting credit. They don't mind being the setup player and somebody thinking that their partner's better than them.
Yeah,
right.
They just want to
win.
Good
point. Yeah,
and that's the difference. I think a lot of people would want to look good losing, rather than look bad winning.
Yeah.
My number one thing when we talk with somebody, and I always, and I'm repeating this. Be full acceptance to the fact that you could win this match 6-0, 6-0, but you also could lose it 6-0, 6-0 and be fine with it.
Well, that's the Gilbert rule from Winning Ugly. He told Agassi there are 5 matches a year. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You're going to lose.
Yeah.
I remember 5 matches that you're going to win no matter what because you're just on.
Yeah.
And it's just all the other ones that matter.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've been there. Mm-hmm. There are days on the court it's like, oh, dear God.
Yeah.
And then there are days like, I could go pro.
Right.
Yeah, that's when that sort of mental toughness, focus, whatever, kind of translates into strategy talk. That's the number one thing. You had a podcast once where you guys were talking about how you approach coaching with ladies teams or junior players or whatever. And, I kind of sat silent because I didn't have a lot to contribute. My view is completely different than how you guys approach the coaching. In that, you talk about, you can control, you might lose 6-0, you might win 6-0. There are a lot of things that happen on a tennis court in a competitive match, singles or doubles, that you don't have control over. And the most important thing to understand is the outcome. You have no control over that.
Yeah.
Right. And as soon as you let go of that, and I'm just going to do what I do,
it's powerful.
And check all of your own boxes. Okay, I've got to get my first serve in the box. I got to feel loosey. All the things that work for me. I mean, look at the two of us. We can't be physically much different.
Right. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm left-handed. You're right-handed.
Yeah. That's what I.
Yeah. So
that was quick, LaPierre.
But I stay in my lane. You stay in your lane, and
But I have the wider lane.
I've hid behind that lane. I've hid behind that lane at times out on the court. But I just do what I do. You do what you do. I don't try to. I can't hit like you hit. I can't hit with that kind of explosive power.
I can't move like you.
We just do what we do, and it teams up well. And if I just take care of myself, he'll be there for me, and he knows the same.
Yeah. That's such it's hard to do, but it's once you understand that concept, it's like such an easy task. Like you really can't. The outcome, really, you can't control it. But like, if I just need to do X, Y, and Z. When I do this, I usually have good results. And if my partner does this, you can wrap your brain around doing that.
Yeah.
Going out and trying to get a win. Like that is so. What does that even? What does that even mean? And I think that's how a lot of people, especially if maybe you haven't been winning matches, you've lost a few in a row. Yep. You lose track of all the little details that actually help you win because you just we all want to win. I get it, but like it's about you start chasing a win, and once you start chasing a win, man, good luck getting that.
I learned that sophomore year of college. We were at district tournament in Nashville. I played this guy from Belmont University. I'll never forget, Franco Gretter. Guy we're talking before, and found out the guy had a win over Malavia, Washington at the Orange Bowl a couple years before. Played the best tennis I have ever played in my life. Was hitting lines, lost 0-2 to a guy who was 5'5".
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, so I guess it really doesn't matter sometimes.
Right.
Because I've won matches I had no business winning when it played like crap.
Right.
But
Right.
it's just once you accept that, and if you learn that at young, it frees you up, I think, to really develop your game.
And it makes surviving those losses a little bit easier. If I
Yes.
check all my boxes and I
Right.
go out and I do everything I could do that was within
Right.
my control
That day.
that day,
Yep.
then I can live with the outcome. Nobody around this table likes to lose. And we've all had
Yep.
our fits out there at times.
Right.
And
So, like, if I'm cramping because I had Doritos before the match, that's within my control.
That's sometimes when people are struggling to get wins, I'll be like, set 3 goals, like attainable goals that you are in control over this match. You poach 3 times, you do this, you do that, whatever it might be. Do those, and then there's your victory there. Maybe you don't get a victory of the match, but at least you come off. You can be like, well, I did this, because you can come off and just beat yourself up, and that's the worst way. If you can come off and be like, you want to know what? Well, I did do this, this, and this. Okay, I worked in some different returns, or I did this. I was actively going after win. I didn't get it, but I was trying some things. Like that is something
was
you
doing
can
the
come
right
off.
things.
You can come off and at least be like, oh man, I'm so mad I lost, but
What
I
do you-
at least did A, B, and C.
You
out
emptied
there, which is
the
like for
chest.
mental-
You tried everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What you're
Right.
saying there is so important. Is how you look at things. Because the same thing that happened there, you can look at it from 2 different ways. You can look at it what you didn't do, because always going to be things that you haven't done, or you couldn't do.
Right.
But also there's things that you have done. So if you're your own best friend there, hey, I've done this, I've done that. I've done my serve and volley. I've poached, like you said, and I need to work maybe a little bit more on this stuff. But if you beat yourself up, and you have that mentality of wrong or incomplete or I didn't do that, and you don't give yourself enough love and credit for what you've done, you're not gonna get out of that rut.
No.
You just have to be fine. Like, hey, I had 2 good shots.
Focus on the positives.
Yeah.
Right.
Glass half full all
And
the time.
ignore the other stuff. It's
Yeah.
like
yeah.
Learn from
Mike
it.
and I had a sectionals, 40 and over sectionals. We had a 3-set win, and we ended up winning, I think, 12-10 in the 10-point tiebreaker. But there was a call in the 10-point tiebreaker. I guess when we got off the court, we found that the guy hooked us really bad on a lob I had hit. But Mike and I didn't react.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was a close call. I knew it might have been on line. He probably knew the same thing. But at 6, 8 in a tiebreaker, you can't go there.
Yeah.
You know,
what are you
it's
going to do
almost-
about it anyways? That guy going to change his call?
Yeah. I mean, I equate it to like, I mean, it's an awful probably thing, but like combat or something. You can't be like in the middle. You can't go like, hey,
Yeah.
that's
right.
not
Right.
Nah.
Right.
You know, you've got to stay focused.
Yeah, no, you do. You have to stay on the prize and be fine with. Again, you're not going to win every point. If you think you're going to win every point in the wrong sport.
And if they miss a call, they're not necessarily lying.
Yeah, that's
People
a
miss
good
calls.
one.
Everyone here has missed calls.
Oh yeah.
We don't think we did.
Oh yeah.
But we did. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing to get through the women too, is like, it's, you know, that stuff's not personal.
Yeah.
You know, they're not hooking you necessarily. They just, maybe they missed a call. So move on. Don't
Yeah.
let it cost you more.
Yeah.
That's the mental thing.
You apply kindness to that and be like, hey, maybe they had a bad day, and if they
I'm not being kind about it. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking that's better for me mentally, to just be able to move on. You know what? They probably got the call wrong.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Rather than start getting into this other internal, like personal thing where
Yeah,
they're
but that's-
hooking me. I mean, you
again,
played college
that's
tennis.
the victim mentality.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah. I mean,
Makeup
it's part
calls.
of it's
Yeah.
part of the sport.
Right. It just gets nasty sometimes. So it's better just to not even go there.
Yeah.
The other one too that's big, that just to be true to yourself. There's no excuses, no complaints.
Well, that was the original bust-off tennis shirt. Was no excuses, no asterisks. I remember, like during the North Show,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
kids would come off, and this girl lost 8 form. She was such a bitch, and it's like, oh, hold on, I'll put an asterisk next to the match.
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Yeah. It's this, we talk about it. This is such a tough sport, man. Such a complex sport that, of course, we always learn, even now, that you're not gonna get everything right. And
Right.
that's looking at right or wrong, like duality, like that. It's just the worst thing you can do. The worst thing you can do, like on yourself. Just learn from it. Learn from it.
It is tough. You know, in doubles, you're on a 2-man team, and there are days, I mean, sometimes you and your partner at your best, you're both at the worst.
Yeah.
It can be a tough situation when you know you're in a dogfight because, like, your partner is lights out and you're just dragging
Yep.
ass. You just can't find it. And you're like, as you can talk all the positive you want and give it all these spins, but at some point you're like, well, shit, we're in a dogfight here because I'm just, like, I'm not pulling my weight. you know. But I do think the less you're, you know, I don't like when I'm playing. I don't require a ton of communication out there between me and my partner. You know, I'll ask for the only thing I'll do is at the beginning of a match I'll be like, I'm trying to hit returns. It takes me a little bit to gauge my returns in, but the better my returns are, the better my all around game is, and I just have to like sometimes swing out. It might take me 3 games of missing returns.
But that's because it's how you
find it. But once I find it, I'm okay, and that's like anyone I'm like, just give me time. I can't. Don't start giving advice to like, why don't you slow it down, or maybe should you chip a few back in? Like now, all of a sudden, I just I'll usually say like, I'm like, I know it'll dial in. I just need to keep swinging, and like I always return better when there's someone's like, yeah, man, do your thing, because I'm gonna let you do your thing, and if then it really will work. But
that's the thing with
sometimes you don't need advice to get out of it. You just need to like,
if you ask for it.
Unsolicited can be really hard. And again, I get it. You're just giving it to me because we're on the same team.
Right.
But I'm on that team too, and I know me best, and I'm trying to find my way out of it right now. Like this one, I don't need your help on. Let me do my thing.
That's big, Kev, because we do have a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean,
we do have people think they're helping.
Yeah, dude.
How do you getting your partner's mind?
And it comes from the best place. That's why if I look at you and I'm like, please, not now.
Yeah,
they're like, now there's a rift. But if I actually stay ahead of it, and I'm like, before we start, I'm like, hey, look, I know this is what I need to do to find my best. So while this is going on, don't give me any advice.
That's what's nice about like partners you've played with. You start to read the rhythm and
you don't even need to talk, or it's like they know just what to say.
Stepping up to serve and waiting for a signal, and waiting and waiting and waiting for a signal. With he and I, it's like if he wasn't playing well to start the match, I know he's going to finish playing well.
Yeah,
and that happens a lot. So like we end up balancing each other out. We haven't both played really well together.
I think that's true.
In a long
time. At the same time, yeah.
But we take turns. One of us is always playing well.
Isn't that kind of? I feel like that's common. Sometimes it's tough. It's
no. It's only the exceptional teams.
Tough for both people that are like where you're both. I mean, it does happen, both at your best, but it's always like,
of course.
And I don't know. Sometimes it's amazing the way it comes together. Like the one rises when the other one isn't, and then it can be
physiologically,
and that can change in the course of a set.
Yeah.
You know, like how quickly, and you're like, wow. But that's a sign of a good team too, knowing like how to, when your partner's not feeling it, you know, you can summon something better than maybe you were a game earlier, or vice versa. You know.
Well, the adrenaline high, the adrenaline.
Yeah. Well, you also don't feel the pressure, which is important. So like if I'm returning like crap, he's not there like, you know, WTF? What do you?
You
know, at the worst, he'll look back at me a fist and go, like, "Come on," you know. But he's not like, you know, why don't you try this? Or you know, because it's like he knows that if I keep like he'll always say, keep swinging. I don't care if you hit the curtain, you're gonna dial it in. You know, or the lob. You know, I get him killed with like 3 overheads in the first set, but in the third set tiebreaker, I hit 3 lob winners. You know.
Right.
Those are things that's so important. Now going to the juniors, I think what I just said earlier, I think that's the number one thing. If a junior has what you said Barry earlier on parents, I think you start right there with the parents. I think a lot of the problem will be solved there. Like, what is that child nervous because of their parents? And whatever else happens after that, it's irrelevant.
I remember talking to calling a girl to find out how she'd done in a tournament. It was at Holy Cross. And the mother's talking to me like, I don't know what to do. She had lost the match and she was unhappy and everything. And I stopped her. I'm like, are we on speaker? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, we'll talk about this another time. It's like, so she's on speaker in the car with her daughter talking about how shitty her daughter did. And it's like, it's like, this isn't positive. I mean, the Bryan brothers' dad is the best. 2 questions when you get off the court. Burgers and pizza or Gatorade and water. That's it. Those are your 2 questions. Do you want Gatorade or water? You want to go get pizza or hamburgers? And then we'll talk about the match tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's sleeping on it is always a good idea. By the way,
yes.
Honestly, even for when you're the one taking it, you're ready to hear it and dive in. When you lose, your defense is up. You're ready to just not even take a good advice, and you just will be like, no. Trust me, that's not what happened.
I hate this sport. Play next Tuesday.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it takes a bit, right? It takes a bit to get out of that competitive mode, and that's later in life. That's that's what everybody finds, or some people earlier, that you're just entering a role. You just enter a role into this game, and you do the best you can to win that role, but then you step out of it, however long it takes you, and then you're fine. And just leave it. It was a game. Leave it at that. The problem is with kids.
When has Roberts ever had a bad loss?
Oh, I have bad losses. Oh, boy.
I was just thinking about that. Like, he comes home, River comes running up, Daddy, and it's all forgotten. Well, it's like, I can't remember.
Right.
Daddy, did you kill him again?
No. But yeah, it's because, and if that break from this little game that you play does not happen for a kid, because now you go home in your safe space, and one of your parents is jumping on your throat because you didn't do this right, and then your forehand and you serve well.
Yeah.
That's not good, man.
No. Well, it comes down to they start to believe that, like, so if I win matches, they'll love me more.
Well, exactly.
It basically turns into that.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is, because you don't keep it as a separate thing. Don't keep it as just a game.
The best parents I've had have been the ones who know nothing about tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just trusted me.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, that's the big part, the trust.
The trust, yeah. Kid, for the kid, too.
I've seen a fair amount of parents who know nothing at all, but that doesn't stop them from giving all kinds of advice.
Right.
And I always used to establish very early on, you're the parent, I'm the coach, those two will never cross. I'm not going to tell your kid when they go to bed, and you're not going to tell them anything about tennis. Let's just set that up.
Right.
We're working on a continental grip forehand.
That's what we're going to do all day.
One grip for all.
That's it. That's it. It keeps things simple.
See those bevels on that racket? Don't worry about it.
Didn't Gav used to do that when he was coach of the high school team at
he
Winchester,
did.
right? Would, like, at the beginning of the year meeting, right off the bat, be like, what was his rule? Like, the parents, like, the kids could come to him if there was questions and stuff like that. Like, have your kids come ask
kids
me,
off
or
the
like,
team.
Don't
if
come.
the parent comes.
This isn't you're not part of my coaching staff.
Yes.
Right.
You know, maybe outside of the year you think you are, you know, if you're doing other stuff, but during this high school season, I'm the coach.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure some parents were like, what? But man.
Oh, that's a good move.
Yeah.
Yeah, he set those expectations.
And he was there for a long
away.
he was there for a long time, and probably dealt with not a lot of shit on the side, because it was like it's like the longer you do it, then it's like people are like,
did you hear? That's the
they're
rule.
in the rule. Everyone's like, don't look.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard Gavin raise his voice?
Never
him yelling at a team or something?
Never had to.
No.
No, that's
Probably a pretty chill coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's the one coach that used to scare the bejesus out of Mark Greenberg, because Mark Greenberg's daughters were playing for Lexington, and Lexington and Winchester were huge rivals at the time.
Ooh.
And Mark would always say, every time we look at Gavin and we see that look in his eye like he's just seen something, he's going to go over and talk to his player, and we're done. We're finished.
Right.
As soon as Gavin goes over, his player's just going to respond, and we lose.
Right.
And he was a coach for 7 years, and I think he lost one state match in 7 years.
Yeah, he did. He did awesome.
Yeah, unbelievable. There were kids that went through an entire 4 years of high school having never lost a match.
Right.
That's pretty
Yeah,
damn good
solid.
coaching.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
that
and
is.
he used to scare other coaches because he would see stuff and he could get it into their head somehow.
That was what's nice about high school tennis in New Hampshire is they have college tennis coaching rules. So you can coach all the time. Mm-hmm. Like even like, Rowers is up there getting ready to return serve. I could be behind the fence. 2 steps to your right. 2 steps to your right. And the kid moves over and then the point.
Okay.
Oh, wow. That could.
So it's like college rules.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for changeovers.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the way it is in Mass? You got to wait for changeovers?
You did.
You did.
Yeah.
Which is hard for development of the kids because they're going to have forgotten what you saw. 2 games later, you go, remember that when you hit that one down the line, you shouldn't have done that. They're going to be like, what?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know how much. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's also a lot to take in if you're playing and I'm getting ready to return and now I have you whispering.
Yeah, but you're coming from, you already have knowledge.
In my ear.
You got to remember we're taking like athletes and trying to teach them tennis sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's like,
but
they're okay with that.
The genius of Gavin was that he wouldn't necessarily go up and offer him coaching. He walked up to Kelly Lynch, Mike and Mary Ellen's daughter, and he said, I don't hear you singing during your rallies. You're not singing. You play better when you sing. I want to hear you sing when you play.
Sounds
so
like
she started singing out loud while she was playing, and she starts playing better.
When you call me Big
Yeah,
Pop.
he didn't tell her anything about her game. He just said, start singing. I don't hear you singing.
Right.
You do better when you sing.
No, that's good coaching.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll be in a women's clinic and somebody will miss 3 or 4 shots in a row and be like, what'd you have for breakfast? And they'll look at you like, what? What'd you have for breakfast? Just, a bagel and and a smoothie. Oh, good. Next ball, perfect.
Right.
And it's like Jedi stuff to them.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see coaches that do get that and do understand their kids so well, and kids respond to that. It's so nice.
Yeah. Every kid's different too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll shift a little bit to, let's see, everyone's opinion and doubles and singles and reading your opponents. That's big, right? That's a big one. But a couple of things.
It's an advantage for us, too, that we're teaching pros.
Yep.
Because like, I can see a grip and be like, I can't do this.
Correct. Correct. Right. You go initially to the technical realm there to see if there's holes. Then the physical one, if the lateral movement, forward and backwards movement, if there's gaps there. Then obviously you enter the tactics and strategy and patterns. Start with you, Barry. What do you think? You have a doubles team.
Yep.
They don't know that the players are playing. What's your?
Well, this is good because actually, I helped the Dover High girls this year, and they have the college setups. They have 6 singles and 3 doubles.
Yep.
The number 2 doubles team ended up making it to the state semifinals, and it was, I'm not gonna say all whatever, but I had a couple matches to go in the season. I'm like, just take one step to the middle each time.
Yeah.
So like we had this girl, she'd play like with her left foot in the alley. So now she moves over one step. Boom, boom. And she did the same thing on this, and they did the same thing, and they made a run to the semifinals. And it was just a matter of like, stop thinking this person can thread the needle down the alley. No one's hitting down the alley.
Right.
Especially like a lot of times in juniors because they're programmed. Don't hit down the line and
yeah.
Well, it stings when it beats you down the alley. That's
still only
why
worth
they worry
1 point.
Of course.
It's like the law.
So like, how many times have you lost because you're like, man, that guy just got me down the alley all day long? Like that doesn't entirely happen.
Ryan McGuire.
Right? Well, it can, but honestly, like the level that we're talking about playing, are balls floating through the middle that you're not crossing on, where you could have run a whole bunch of points on? That probably has something.
Yeah. I mean, that's why an athletic net person is huge. I mean, high school, I had my doubles partner was like the 4 on the team, but he was the all-state goalie first team. So it's just like, it's like a kookaburra guy. He just got everything, sat on top of the net, pounded the ball.
Right.
Second serve was, god awful. I remember playing one match against Jim Rich, who ended up playing one at Dartmouth. And my partner's hitting these little second serve. This kid's teeing off on me. I'm like, it's the only time I've ever backed up.
I think a lot of like high school, like at least around high school level teams, like they're not necessarily getting a ton of doubles coaching. I think they pick up some through here, which is good, but
and what they get is not always the best quality.
Well, it also doesn't have to be that complicated.
Yep.
Make your,
Why are you facing the baseline player?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, can't that person hit at you first?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or keep a ball cross court. Keep it to a back player. Try to get you and your partner in. Feast as balls come back at you. It doesn't have to be overly complicated either. Like you may have to. Maybe a team pulls that out of you, but start off with a base.
Yeah, the base.
An easy base.
But you got to be adaptable because I mean, we up in New Hampshire, you got like I'm coaching some teams. There's another guy coaching some other teams, and this other guy just trained us never hit down line, always hit cross court, and then he taught his players to always go to the middle. So it's like, all right, we're playing as teams. Hit up the line.
Yeah.
Right.
and you kill them. And it's like, well, the up the line's the low percentage because usually there's someone standing there.
Right.
But if there's no one standing there, it's pretty high percentage.
Yeah.
Although we were talking a while back that like until you hit a certain level where like your volleys maybe aren't that comfortable, returning down the line is actually a play like at a certain level ground strokes.
But it can be interpreted as mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Volley skills. So like you can even for the ladies teams at a certain level, take returns. And by the way, the serves land short. So now the distance between you and the net player is
reaction
that far.
time.
You don't even go by them. Just hit a ball at them, and the volley skills just aren't there. It can actually work.
Yeah, I don't like in
really well.
For the ladies teams, I said the cross court and the second serve return, unless it's a good second serve, it's not an option. Deep cross court, angle cross court, yes.
Right.
Drop shot cross court,
right.
But down the line is your first, second, and third option. The second, because I mean, why not? You can lob them too.
Right.
Just get off the seat.
It's like slow pitch softball going, I don't want to hit a home run. But hit doubles.
The other thing is because we shifted a little bit to the positioning there. One, you're just saying that like
control the middle.
Yeah, be the net, you're the net player, your partner serving there. Make sure you're not too far in the alley, right? Because that's a big mistake too. Because you have players that be so close to that alley, and we always talk about this. It's close, at least for me, as close to the middle, the lateral middle of the service box, is where you want to be.
Yeah, you don't have to cover the alley.
No, that's if they beat
Not
you,
unless they serve really wide.
Right.
Correct. So that's massive. Then
or
also
if they're
like
going down there all the time.
Yeah.
the serving position.
You can't catch up with Mike's service late. They're late.
When you serve, like you have, and that goes both ways, from you as a server and you as a returner. When you see somebody serving from so far wide, from close to the corner of the singles court, you know T is not going to be. That's what I told Alec last night.
That's what I love though, because we'll do this. I'll be serving to the deuce court, and I'll move way out and then put the kicker into the corner of the serve.
You can,
and they'll already have shifted way over.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you do have that.
I
but until they prove you that multiple times,
Right.
It's not. So those little things, they can be adjusted. So if you want to have efficient down the T serve consistent, you gotta be a little bit like middle of the singles half, right? That's like simple positioning. It also, if you are returning and you see somebody so far wide,
right?
That's
you take what they give you.
Yeah, right. That's goes in that reading your opponent and what they.
Predictability is defeatability.
And then you see...
you like that, don't you? Write that down.
Catchphrase?
Write that down.
Wow.
Like Ed Ledoux.
Yeah, that's...
Can't hit it in the air from there.
Yeah, that's an Eddie. All right, we'll go into LaPierre territory here. The serve and volley technique. Let's break that down.
I didn't know there was another technique. I thought that was all you're supposed to do out there.
Yeah, I consider it probably the number one skill to have in doubles and to some extent in singles.
And it's the one that's lacking the most in the kids coming up.
Yes.
Right.
And teams too. You have some.
I do a lot of no bounce stuff.
Yeah.
The
serve and no bounce.
Yeah, can't hit the court.
Yeah.
Who was your model growing up?
As a player, or who
as a player.
Coached me?
No, as a player. Like, who did you want to be?
Connors when I was a...
Was it
Seriously?
Yeah.
I cannot see you pumping your pelvis. I was looking for somebody like Ken Rosewell, Rod Laver.
There's not enough tequila in the world to get me to pump my pelvis out on the tennis court. So, but no, he was my first guy. But I gravitated towards the Edbergs, the Rafters, the serve and volley guys.
God,
I liked watching
guys.
how they worked the court. And Pat Cash played the greatest single match ever at Wimbledon against Lendl. Like he never missed a first volley. I mean, and he nailed first volleys. He had balls at his shoelaces.
Well, they are in, and they weren't hitting bombs. They were hitting the spin serves.
Yeah.
It's like Errol, watching Errol. He's a step inside the service line every first volley.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes.
He's in quick.
That's the only reason he's good.
Fast.
Yeah, no, that's but if you take on a ladies 2.5, 3.0, even 3.5, and you tell them serve and volley, you've just found a way for them to lose matches faster.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, that's not, it's an acquired skill.
Yeah.
Actually, recently I guess we sort of scrimmaged with the other 18-plus 4-5 team from Bass River over the summertime, and I played with a young kid, Andrew, and he's a very good player, big off the ground. He had volleys, but he wouldn't serve and volley. I'm like, all right, dude, we're just playing for fun. Every first serve, you have to serve and come in. So he made it a point to miss every first serve. Just didn't want to.
I like to
take that, old man.
Yeah, I'll show you.
But he just didn't. He didn't want to do it. He was capable, but he would just rather serve, kick back, and then rip a groundie.
Well, it's easy. You're going to make mistakes serving a volley. You're going to get past. You know, your success rate isn't.
Yeah,
it's like
doesn't to be 100%.
I'm okay winning 51% of the points in a match.
Correct.
Right.
You know, what's I saying? You don't have to outrun the bear.
Yeah,
you just got to outrun the slowest person.
Right.
So you don't have to play a perfect match. You just got to play better than them.
Right.
Yeah. When I got to college, I was a baseliner through the juniors, believe it or not. But I got to college and it was all my top spin. It was foot speed. That's all it was. I was foot speed and I could grind. I was in shape and I could run all friggin' day. But my college coach said, if you want to play on this team, you got to serve and volley, chip and charge every point. And for like the first 6 weeks at college, my neck was sore. His balls were just whizzing by me as I went into the net. I couldn't catch up to anything.
But you learned.
But I got there, and I was willing to take the beating. He said, you want to play on this team, this is what you have to do. And I was the number 6 singles player my freshman year, sometimes 7. I was close. but I played the first or second doubles because I could volley, because I could come in and move.
Right.
Yeah.
And he said that's the only way you're going to make this squat, is you've got to get into the net. So I just bombed the net every single point.
Your whole team played like that.
Me especially. We had some pretty good baselines at that time.
So he was looking at what he thought you could do.
The only way I could do it.
Because you were hitting a flatter ball, too.
Right.
He doesn't want you sitting back there trying to bang with someone with the grip cranked over.
Right. Now, we had a guy on our team from Sweden who was Mats Wielander's hitting partner.
Tobias von Tessen?
No, Peter Anderson, another Swede.
Wait, was that a made-up name, or is that...
No, that's a real name.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was just a joke. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but no, this guy, Peter Anderson, like he would just never miss, ever. So coach would let him stay back in the baseline. He would play 4-hour matches every day.
Oh, God.
And he beat guys like 3-3 in 4 hours,
Right.
just...
What a nightmare.
Only problem was that if someone
after 5 hours getting grinded into the ground.
But then someone watches that and then comes to you the next day going, now you told me not to stay back at the baseline forever.
Right.
But that was coach being smart. He let Peter be Peter, and he made me be something else, because I wasn't going to be Peter. I wasn't going to be able to do that.
That's good coaching.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a hard skill in doubles. In singles, it is, man. It's a
Yes.
It's a hard skill to.
It's a high-end skill to have.
It's almost impossible nowadays.
It is.
That's
The geometry is too different with the strings. The strings just changed.
Although it was pretty good when Medvedev was returning from way back and Djokovic started serving and volleying on him and having success, because it's like, all right, you want to stand that far back.
I know, but he's been doing it, and none of it must. I don't know. It seems like that would be the easy.
Right, but not everyone can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, Alcaraz has good volleys. He understands his bottom edge, creates angles, so he could come in and have success. Other people, a lot of times, they'll come in and they'll put the volley in play.
But that's the thing. The skill of their volley is just not up to par to be
with
top,
the ground strokes.
or to that high level of play.
Right.
Like you cannot beat a number 3 player in the world with a mediocre volley.
Right. Well, it's like it goes back. What was it, Sampras? Like took 2 years in his 14, 15 to learn the new backhand and to commit to serving and volleying, and took a lot of L's.
Right.
But I mean, they saw the big picture.
That's what we were talking about a while ago, about getting juniors to just commit to a style, but do that with multiple styles. To just serve and volley for like X amount of matches, 20 matches. So
I always tell kids that they're basically special forces. You have to be able to do everything, and you never know what you're going to have to do. You have to be able to get in, do your job, get back out.
Right.
This time it's something different. So if you have the full set of skills, you can adapt, and you'll always be in the fight.
Yeah.
This 80-year-old goes home and is like, Mom, what's special forces?
Yeah. I just say Navy SEALs, they know. Mom, what's an AK?
It is true that's like the worst answer, whether it's from a kid or an adult. When you're trying to have them do something, they're like, but I would never do that. Right there, you're like, oof. Well, that's a major. We have to address that there, because that's the major flaw. Isn't that you can't do this because you think you would never do something out there. How do you know?
And you don't understand.
How do you know? You travel into the future. How do you know you're never going to have to do this particular?
Because they haven't played someone who can make them do it yet. That's the problem.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I mean, the opponent's not there to make you look good.
Right.
It's like, why are we working on continental volleys, low at our feet? Because that's what the other team's trying to make you hit.
Right.
They're not going, let me give them a high floater. They're trying to get the ball at their feet.
Right.
So, I mean, you've got to understand that sometimes they're going to be successful. The other player, some pro player said, the other guys get paid too.
Right.
Right. Exactly. It's this battle that you're having there to outmatch each other. Yeah, that to me is, especially for doubles, is the earlier in your career, doesn't matter if you're a kid or a young adult or old adult, doesn't matter. Learn that and put as many reps as you can in, because and then you can break it down on like understanding a little bit. What I've been finding lately, and go on specifics, that it's if you break it down in 2 different parts, the serve and volley, and you focus on the person after the serve, obviously the immediate movement towards the net, but in a lesser speed, so they can control that split step.
Yeah.
So it's a lower speed up to the split step. Then you get into that low position. Then you do your reading, and then you have the explosiveness. Yeah. I think that
it also helps.
It's an easy way to.
Like you pitched, I pitched, and I was a catcher too. Serving is pitching. Like I'll hit a serve to a spot knowing that it's 80% likely it's coming this way. And that's important because, like, you know, to teach players, it's like, all right, if you slice it wide, you're going to have to cover the whole court. You know, so if you're going to serve and come in, serve down the tee or at the body. You know, don't get too crazy. You know, just
right.
You know,
going a little bit back to reading your opponents and influencing your opponents.
Oh yeah, love that.
You know what I mean?
I love when they look.
That's exactly, because that's another skill that can be easily worked in.
I tell the women, it's like they'll go to poach and they get passed down the line. Doesn't matter. They're watching. They're paying attention. Now you can screw with them.
Right.
You know, now you can fake, and they're watching you.
Right.
You know, now that you know they're watching you, you get to really influence what they're thinking.
Right.
It's like I don't mind getting passed online because then I'm like, all right. I'm going to give you some false information, little fake news out there.
Right.
Right. Yeah, you can read them, but also you can literally influence like where they go, what they do through formations, obviously, but even something as simple as when they're about to serve, as that ball is being released and they have eye contact with you, you move one way or the other.
Yeah, because we detect the side-to-side motion, not the forward.
Right.
And that's where they're all, because they already have an idea what they're gonna do, and now you just enter that decision making in a very short amount of time that they have to change their mind, and that's not easy.
Yeah,
the higher
it just
level
takes the teeniest
little
poke, a little blip that now I can hit a serve.
Yeah,
the higher level
14
we get,
feet wide,
the less it takes to fake someone. That's what I've noticed.
Say that again?
Well, it's like if I'm playing Rares, I don't have to be like,
oh yeah,
and like jump to the side.
Right.
I can actually just pick my foot up and start to move it.
Right.
And that's enough.
Yeah, because
if he even sees that foot start to go, he thinks I'm going.
Yeah, the body language, everything. Yeah.
So it's that's that stuff that I. But then like at the lower levels, they got to do the ooga booga.
Right.
Yeah, you try to do a subtle fake. Or
Who did Agassi say had the tell when he served?
With the tongue.
Becker with the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Imagine being Boris and hearing that after all those matches and being like, fucking idiot I was. Like, you're killing yourself out there and you don't realize.
Yeah. But imagine being
you're
Agassi and figuring that out.
Right. And as he said, the hardest part was not overusing it once I knew. I waited for the big points because I didn't want to give away that I knew what he was doing.
That's a funny
That's
game.
actually the real genius right there.
Yeah. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the documentary on Netflix with Marty Fish?
Yes.
And he was talking about he was living and training with Andy Roddick, and they were playing each other. And so like they're at a big point, and he was talking about what was going through his head. It was like match point for him, and he's like, all right, now he always kicks it out wide here. You know, oh wait, he knows I know that, so he's gonna serve.
Right.
Oh, but he's not gonna do that. He's gonna kick her out wide.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? Right. And then it was like 3 points in a row where he's just like talked himself into like
overthinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Very interesting.
Very, very deep, and he was honest. I appreciated that one.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have something else that we want to get after, fellas?
Covered some ground.
Any
Covered some ground.
resolutions for the new year? Every other podcast going to do it. Mine's the same as it has been for the last 20 years.
What do you got, Barry?
I'm going to get under 250.
There you go.
And I don't mean the sign at Fenway.
What did you say like on Tuesday? One more thing for me to avoid in my house?
Yeah.
Like,
The new trainer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just one more thing for me to avoid or hang my shirt on. Got to get off my ass.
what do we think? The predictions for the next year? Is this the year that?
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Alcaraz because he cooled off the second half of the year. He got on the hard courts and he wasn't doing so much. And now that those guys have wins over him, they're not going to be as intimidated.
Yeah, I think that was his lull.
I'd like to see Sinner have a breakthrough if he can do it. If he can put on some weight,
10 more pounds.
Have him give me a call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this? This is called Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
I think Sinner has the chance to be better than Alcaraz.
His ball striking. Have you seen the video of him playing with that tennis pointer thing that like the kid has, the little one, the wood one with the little handle? Like it's kind of like that.
Oh, the saber, but
yeah. Like he's full on playing with it.
Yeah.
His ball striking is unbelievable.
he's clean, man.
Yeah, so clean.
Once he can transition forward, and here we go again, be able to serve and volley or take a short ball and get in and be, firm on his volley game.
Osaka's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Not yeah. What did we say? 6 months off the tour, and you never get it back again.
Yeah.
How long has she been gone?
Yeah.
Stay gone.
Yeah, it's. I don't.
You
I
think
it's
that's the
tough.
same for the women's tour? By the way, you think the women's
Yeah.
tour changes?
I don't know.
that
Clijsters
fast?
did okay. Not Clijsters. Who was it? Did Clijsters play at the U.S. Open? No, Wozniacki.
Wozniacki. I just lost a thought on the guys.
Predictions.
You think it's fees here?
I don't know. Oh no! So yeah. With Sinner, I do trust Cahill.
Yeah.
That's the best coach.
The killer.
I trust whatever. So I think he will, because he's now beating. Beat Djokovic like at the end of the year.
I mean, he's done it. Everybody he's worked with.
Yeah, he really has
done well.
Yes.
Yep.
And
he had Halep, top of her game.
How good of a player was?
What is?
Those Romanians and their special drugs.
I know, but that was the Frenchy dude. That was Moratoglu.
Yeah.
That was his team.
Oh, right, and then he abandoned her.
They gave her this collagen thing, and
then left her.
Is what you were saying. What happened with Korea was contaminated.
There you
So
go.
that's that's just so sad, because that's
That she wasn't taking
career.
it. That she was taking something else that was contaminated.
Yes, at least that's
their story.
They had
sticking
her.
to it.
His
Right.
team had her take the specific collagen stuff, and she took it.
But it had something else.
Turned out that it was contaminated, and
the reality is that happens because they use the same vats to mix stuff.
that's what Mike was saying a while ago. Yeah, that's
that stinks because that's her career.
That's it. Yeah, if that's gonna be,
She can't work 2 years.
so what is it now? I don't
know what she has left, but it was a 2-year suspension.
I thought it was 4. So if it's just 2,
yeah, it's 4. Forget it.
I have to look that up. I don't know exactly. Yeah. Well, boys, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
That was
New Year,
fun.
fellas.
Yeah.
Good fun. Thank you,
That was
Papa
fun,
Bear,
yeah.
for
Thank
driving
you guys
down.
for
Barry, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you.
That was good.
Bear.